Lex. I don't know what to think, but here we are in this ring. It seems so far from the truth, and I go hide in the booth. Can you feel the movement on spin? Can you see the curvature bend? Do you see when they spray the skies and they make up lies and do it again? Man, who's really in charge? How long has the lie been hidden? How long has time been broken? Cause every season is different. They tell you climate is changing. They say the global is warming. They think you'll need a vaccine, otherwise you'll die without warning. God put the stars, the sun, and the moon in the same sky. God put the devil on earth and let us reside at the same time. Maybe cause angels betrayed God all over a slut lust. Then there was a reset, some of us call it a mud flood. Firmament permanently fixed to a plane, perfectly placed, impervious escape for the human race. This is God's work, so ask God first every day. And it's not curved, it is straight. It is not a planet, it's a plate. This the other side of Hell's Gate.
Tonight is going to be wild.
What's up, dude?
Oh, it's been a long week, but tonight's going to be exciting. But, you know, as always, before we get into it, don't forget to go to phoneboothpodcast.substack.com where everything is uncensored. They don't take anything down that we say. We're allowed to do it all there.
Damn right.
Go over there and yeah, you're damn right. Go over there. Also, check out our merch store. It's a fun place to go. We got a lot of merch there that we just come up with, put our ideas out there, and hope you like them. So if you want to help us out, go there, check them out. All right, Bill. And
what if I want to get like some like bullion or like, you know, gold or something worth something, you know what I mean? Where do I go there?
Well, if that's what you're looking for, you can go here. Go to canambullion.com to get your gold, silver, platinum coins, bars, and bullion. When you put it in your cart, buy it right away because the prices go up and down all the time. It's not financial advice.
Simultaneously.
Just smart to do. Don't be fucking stupid, and everybody will be fine. That's how we all work out. All right, so we had him on once before. It's a whole new world. It's going to be amazing. So what is up, Brandon? It has been been almost 2 years exactly, right?
What's up, guys? Yeah, about 2 years, and I'm excited to be here and give legal advice and financial advice without a license. How you guys doing?
Sounds fantastic.
The best intro ever. So good. Straight to the point.
Awesome, dude.
So it's easier for you to tell everybody who the hell you are because I can't keep track of how many books you've written now and all the stuff you've done. I'll forget something. So
well, frankly, I kind of get a kick out of it. Every single time I go on a show, I've been on like 160, 170 shows. I always get a kick out of how do they introduce me because it's like such a fucking struggle and everybody does it differently. So I'm almost kind of curious as to how you'd introduce me, Ted.
I'd be like, in my mind, the dude that's trying to fucking help us all break down the goddamn system that makes us all slaves. That's how you're known to me.
That's good. That's good enough. Let's roll with that.
That'll do.
That'll do. I'll keep it modest.
Anti everything that's anti-humanity. How's that?
Yeah, I don't pay taxes. I give legal advice without a license. I practice law without a license. I drive without a driver's license. I have no registration. I have no insurance. I fucking pay no federal income taxes. I fucking pay no sales taxes on large purchases. I pay no state taxes. I don't smog my car because I'm in California. They have smog out here in Los Angeles. Don't do that. I do literally fucking nothing, and I sue the government and large corporations. That's basically what I do.
That sounds amazing.
You know what I love about that is because I know that some of them fuck stuff up, but whenever you post something about something like that, someone's always like, no one would actually do that. They all get busted, blah, blah, blah. Well, here's proof that that's bullshit.
Yeah, I changed my bio on all my social medias to if I paid taxes, I would be in prison. Probably like, I don't know how many months it's been now. I want to say at least like 9 months it's been like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
how.
Can you explain that?
How does one not pay? Okay, can you get reimbursed for the income tax you have
I can't even file an information. Like, you know how you, like, most people don't even know anything about anything. So in order to even pay, you have to file an information. You have to file like a 1040 or something like that.
1040, okay.
So at 1040, you're telling them all this information, and then you're telling them how much you owe them. If you just send them a random payment, you'd be surprised. They'll probably send it back because they have no information to relate it to. Now, for example, if you work at a company and they're sending in 1099s, so 1099s, it's sort of like a socialist system, okay? So someone sends in a 1099, that's reporting about you. Mm-hmm. So that's these guys over here saying, hey, IRS, want to let you know, I paid. Yeah, basically, yeah, essentially, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But the thing is that even with that, that's sort of like almost like circumstantial reporting information. It's not until you file your own report, really, until it's really solid, right? So
Okay.
I can't even file an informational report. So I can't do the second step after filing an informational report, which is to pay it. It's physically impossible. And the reason why is because if you look at, for example, at 1040, I can do a screen share with you guys and just show you.
Cool.
I always prefer to
awesome.
show it rather than just say it because it's like
That works too.
I'm just some dude, you know? But if
Yeah.
I share it and I
And
show
while he's
it,
adding this, I just want to remind everybody, first 30 minutes is on X. After that, we cut it, and you have to go to our Substack, and then it'll be out everywhere else Monday. For paid subscribers, it'll be up immediately. Okay, screen share. Let me add that to the scene. Let's put it up real quick. Here we go.
so if we go to, can you guys see my screen?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we're going to go to a 1040 tax form. So this is the informational form that you'd have to fill out in order to even pay. So if you don't fill one of these out, you really can't even pay. It's not really possible, right?
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So if we go down and we're going to look at the terminology that they used to use on this, they don't use it anymore. I think too many people are catching on now. But if we go to tax form 1040 information, and we're going to go to the IRS website, you will see here, here's the information, helpful hints. All right. So you see this term trade or business over and over and over again, right?
Yes.
Trade or business, right? If you are a sole proprietor, blah, 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 if you do not have a separate trade or business of providing these services, you are reporting income from the rental of personal property not used in a trade or business. If you sold or exchanged assets used in a trade or business, gambling winnings not attributable to a trade or business. So we have all this stuff, the term trade or business, right? That's what you're reporting on, a trade or business in the United States when you fill out, like, let's say a 1040, right? Mm-hmm. And what no one realizes is if you go to the definition section of the tax code, which is 26 USC 7701, you can see it right here on the screen, 26 USC 7701. This is every definition pretty much in the entire tax code. There are some other smaller definition sections, but this is like the main huge monster primary definition section for the entire tax code. Title 26 is the tax code. You can see that by going to the main USC and going down into Title 26 as your Internal Revenue Code, right?
Okay.
We're going to go down to subsection 26, and we're going to find out what is the definition of a trade or business. The term trade or business includes the performance of the functions of a public office.
Okay.
So what trade or business means is literally just public office. And you can see that at 26. Oh, man, I'm going a little bit blank here. Hold on one second. Mm-hmm. Trade or business expenses. Trade or business expenses. Title 26. 162, is that it? Yeah, that's it. 162. So if you go here to 26 USC 162, trade or business expenses, and you go down, it has this long, long list. Every single one of these items all has to do with public office. election, legislative days, on and on and on and on and on. You read through all of this and you'll see it has to do with public office, such as legislative branch, executive branch, judicial branch, etc. Right? That's all that trade or business means.
So
It has no other meaning.
those are the people that are supposed to be paying taxes, what you're saying.
That's correct.
If you work in public office,
That's correct.
not private citizens like us.
And it gets more complicated because a state of California is just a business. That business is actually a 14th Amendment citizen, a 14th Amendment person. If you look at the definition of the word person in the same section, the term person shall be construed to mean and include an individual, a trust, a state, partnership, association, company, or corporation. State of California is a corporation. State of California is anyone who's working in that corporation, which has nothing to do with California proper. It's actually a federal corporation under the 14th Amendment. Anyone working for that corporation would also fit under the definition of a trade or business. But it gets even more interesting because it's a trade or business in the United States, which is defined in subsection A9 and A10 of the same section, 26 U.S.C. 7701. The term United States, when used in a geographical sense, includes only the states and the District of Columbia.
Okay.
And you think to yourself, oh, the states. Yeah, okay. Well, let's see what it says. Right after that, it says the word state.
Oh, sorry.
The term state shall be construed to include the District of Columbia where such construction is necessary to carry out provisions of this title. So really, so state means District of Columbia, and United States also means District of Columbia, and I can prove that very easily because if you go to LZ and Dundas, I think it's an 1833 case, Hepburn and Dundas v. LZ, 1805, very old case by John Marshall. He says right in here, and this is still good law. This has never been overturned. Let's see here. It says it just, it's nothing. If you read, it's a very short opinion, but if you read this, the District of Columbia is not a state as per the constitutional definition.
Yeah.
And you can see that, I mean, they even have entire government websites make D.C. 51st state.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not a state, for sure. It's separate.
So frequently asked questions about statehood of the people of D.C. It says here they're fighting to get D.C. statehood. So let me ask you a question. If D.C. is not a state, and it's very well known that it's not a state, and there's still case law in the books from almost the beginning of our country proving that it's not a state, that's why when they say the word state, you can't mix the District of Columbia and the 50 states of the Union. They're two entirely separate systems.
Correct.
So when they say the word state, what they're really saying in English is actually found much better at 18 U.S.C. 5. This is really what they're saying in the tax code. They're just trying to be really, really convoluted about it. The term United States includes all places and waters, continental or insular, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. This last part doesn't apply because we don't. The Canal Zone, which is a part of Panama, is no longer a U.S. territory. It hasn't been since 1999. They just have never changed this, so you can just ignore this last part. Mm-hmm. So these are places that are located under Title 48. So Title 48 of the United States Code shows you all of the territories and insular possessions, of which are places and waters, continental or insular, that are subject to the jurisdiction of, they're talking about the federal government here.
Right.
So here's the list.
Is this the corporation?
Yeah.
Of the United States? Okay.
Yeah. So these are all the places that would fall under the definition of the word state in the tax code. And if you look at Alaska and Hawaii are listed here, those were U.S. territories for a long time until I think the 1950s, and they were removed and they were made states. So they would fall under the definition of the word state under the tax code up until the 50s when they became states, and now they're no longer considered states. See how confusing that is?
Yeah.
If we click on Alaska, everything's been repealed or omitted. And why is that? Because it
it's a
became a
state
state,
now. Yeah.
right?
Oh shit.
But the word state in the tax code is only referring to those areas that are under the exclusive territorial jurisdiction of Congress of the District of Columbia, which would not include the Canal Zone either. It wouldn't include the Philippine Islands. The Philippine Islands were a U.S. territory for a long time. The Virgin Islands is still a U.S. territory, so the Virgin Islands would be considered a state under the definition of the tax code. The Guano Islands, it looks like everything here is still active, so the Guano Islands would be a state as per the definition from the tax code. Guam would be part of the definition of the word state. We have Samoa, Tutuila, Manua, Swains Islands, and the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands.
I sat next to a girl named Tutulia in high school.
There you go. Eastern
So what you're
Samoa-
saying basically is that these are the people who are supposed to be paying taxes underneath the way that it says state.
So when they say trade or business in the United States, they're saying public office in the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, Guano Islands, Guam, Samoa, Tutuila, Manua, Swains Islands, Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands, Eastern Samoa, and Northern Mariana Islands, Micronesia, Marshall Islands, and Palau. Those are the only areas that would fall under the tax code. And even
But
if you were
also
in
only if
Guam,
you're holding
but
public
only if
office,
you're in
right?
public office. That's correct.
Are they collecting taxes from these people in public offices in these places currently, or are we just the suckers? The
when we
pilots?
file taxes saying that we're involved in a trade or business in the United States, we get literally marked and placed in their files as we work for the government.
Right.
They just accept the fact that we're telling them we work for the government.
So have you never filed, or did
No.
you before this? And how, if you already have, how do you then opt out of that once you've done that?
Well, I just stopped filing in 2021 when I realized all this, because when you realize all this, you realize that you are actually committing a felony every time you file taxes, and I will show you which felonies you are committing. You're committing one or two or both of these felonies. 18 U.S.C. 911 is the first felony. I just shared my screen
Son of a
again.
bitch.
This is unreal.
Yeah, is it not up there for you? Oh, it disappeared. Now it's back. Okay, there you go.
So there's two different felonies that you are committing when you file taxes. You're committing either one of them or both of them. And this is the first one. Whoever falsely and willfully represents himself to be a citizen of the United States shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both, right? And the way that this works, essentially in a nutshell, is the I can show it to you. Let me show you. So the citizen of the United States category, and I have a whole flow chart that I'll just rapidly go through this with you, right? It's a lot, but we can probably go through it super fast.
Okay.
So this is a flow chart that I made. I have a whole treatise on the word person, which is what this whole thing is based off of.
That's one of the things I have written down to ask you about, so I'm so glad you're going to do this. So let's do it.
So back in the day, the definition of a United States citizen was a citizen of one of the states of the Union, and you had to be what's called a free white person to even become a citizen of a state, right? Huh. And this is basically, you can see this defined. What I spend a lot of time doing is digging through cases and trying to find definitions or quotes from cases that are like so clear and they're not full of other legal jargon. I try my best to find like the hardest hitting. So I might find like 6 or 7 things, but then I pick the one that I think is the best. And that's kind of how I do all my research. I'll dig up a whole bunch of quotes on something, and then I'll pick the best one. And then I'll dig up a whole bunch of quotes on something, and then I'll pick the best one. And then I build out all of my stuff and my book and my research and my treatise all based off of the best of those things that I can find. And my definition of best is like most clear, least amount of legal terminology, and then easiest for like a newer person to the information to be able to read and understand. So
Layman.
Yeah.
Yes.
that's sort of like my whole system in a nutshell, right? So before the citizen of the United States class was actually created by Congress in the Civil Rights Act of 1866, this guy named Solomon Haydenfeld, in this case called Ex parte Nulls, tells us what that thing is prior to that point. He says, in examining the form of our government, it might be correctly said that there is no such thing as a citizen of the United States. This is 1855, by the way. He says, but constant usage arising from convenience and perhaps necessity and dating from the formation of the Confederacy has given substantial existence to the idea which the term conveys. A citizen of one of the states of the Union is held to be and called a citizen of the United States, although technically and abstractly there is no such thing. To conceive of a citizen of the United States who is not a citizen of some one of the states is totally foreign to the idea and inconsistent with the proper construction and common understanding of the expression as used in the Constitution, which must be deduced from its various other provisions. The object then to be obtained by the exercise of the power of naturalization was to make citizens of the respective states. So, for example, a Californian or a Texan. So at this time, Mr. Haydenfeld was talking about, in his area, it'd be Californians. So what he's saying is there was no such thing as a citizen of the United States abstractly. It was just a colloquialism to describe someone like a Californian.
Gotcha.
And you had to be what's called a free white person to qualify to be a Californian. And so what happened was we have the Dred Scott versus Sanford case, right? And these are the quotes. These are the main quotes from that case where he's talking about what happened in that case. He says here, the words people of the United States and citizens are synonymous terms and mean the same thing. They both describe the political body who, according to our Republican institutions, form the sovereignty and who hold the power and conduct the government through their representatives. They are what we familiarly call the sovereign people, and every citizen is one of this people and a constituent member of this sovereignty. Then he says here, the question before us is whether the class of persons described in the plea and abatement compose a portion of this people. So he's separating out, there's two entirely different classes.
Yeah.
The first class is we the people, which you find at the beginning of the preamble. The second class is the class that's talked about in the 3/5 clause as well as the slave trade clause. All of a sudden in the Constitution, when they're talking about the Negro slaves that were brought here, they shift from the word people and they use the word persons in the Constitution. And this is what the judges were looking at in the Dred Scott case. Everyone just says it was racist and all this kind of stuff. It totally wasn't. They were just looking at the exact. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that the enslaved race had no right to the privileges and immunities found in the Constitution.
Yeah.
It doesn't require a rocket scientist to figure that one out.
Right.
So the idea that they were just racist pieces of shit is just false. Okay. So he says here. Compose a portion of this people and are constituent members of this sovereignty. We think they are not, and that they are not included and were not intended to be included under the word citizens in the Constitution, and can therefore claim none of the rights and privileges which that instrument provides for and secures to citizens of the United States. On the contrary, they were at that time considered as a subordinate and inferior class of beings who had been subjugated by the dominant race and, whether emancipated or not, yet remained subject to their authority and had no rights or privileges but such as those who held the power and the government might choose to grant them. And then the third and last quote on this. In the opinion of the court, the legislation and histories of the times and the language used in the Declaration of Independence show that neither the class of persons who had been imported as slaves nor their descendants, whether they had become free or not, were then acknowledged as a part of the people, nor intended to be included in the general words used in that memorable instrument. Now let's go look at the 14th Amendment. What is the second word that you see at the beginning of the 14th Amendment?
Persons.
Bingo.
Interesting. Wow.
Now, how did we get here?
Yeah, seriously.
The way we got here is actually very simple. I have the whole timeline right here for you. So the timeline is we have Dred Scott, and then the Civil War begins shortly after Dred Scott. So the Dred Scott decision came out March 6, 1857. The Civil War began April 12, 1861, and ended April 9th, 1865. During that time, we start having congressional debates over the subject of slavery and the future of the Negro race. Raged on in 1864 through early 1865. Post-war ratification debates occurred from April until December of 1865. And then right at the end of that is when we have the 13th Amendment, which is releasing all of the Negro slaves on December 6th, 1865. The southern states reacted by creating the Black Codes to specifically suppress the newly freed Negro. The first state to pass the Black Codes was Mississippi on November 25th, 1865. Now, to give you an idea of the Black Codes, what they did was, if you look at the 13th Amendment, it had a loophole. It wasn't really much of a loophole. It's kind of right in your face. It's pretty obvious. It's not anything secret, you know. It's actually not a loophole at all. It's literally very obvious, right? Mm-hmm. So we have here, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, and then here is the loophole, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. Mm-hmm. So what did the southern states do? They just created a whole bunch of bullshit crimes, things like loitering, things like hanging around outside of a, general store, things about being at a certain location after dark.
Wow.
It was all to turn it was like, okay, fine, federal government, you want to release all of our slaves and destroy our slave culture that we have down here in the South? No problem. We'll just create a bunch of new crimes in our penal codes. We'll just turn around, convict them of all the crimes, and put them right back where we had them 5 minutes ago. That was the Black Codes.
Oh, man.
So the Black Codes started in Mississippi in November 25th of 1865. This was then followed by South Carolina, Alabama, and Louisiana in late 1865. Then Florida, Virginia, Georgia, North Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, and Arkansas in early 1866. So it all happened very, very fast. We're talking within 3-4 months. All this happened.
Wow.
Yeah. Damn.
Okay.
Avalanche. Yep.
So what was Congress's response to that? That's when they created the Civil Rights Act of 1866 to protect and shield the Negro by creating a new class of citizen under Congress called the Citizen of the United States.
Son of a bitch.
Which only meant a citizen of a state prior to this point and was never a separate class. This made it a special legal and separate class. This was in response to Dred Scott as well as the Black Codes. President Andrew Johnson vetoed the Civil Rights Act of 1866 on March 27th, 1866. And here's what he has to say about the subject. It's right here. By the first section of the bill, all persons born in the United States and not subject to any foreign power, excluding Indians not taxed, are declared to be citizens of the United States. This provision comprehends the Chinese of the Pacific states, Indians subject to taxation, the people called gypsies, as well as the entire race designated as blacks, people of color, Negroes, mulattoes, and persons of African blood. Every individual of these races born in the United States is, by the bill, made a citizen of the United States. It does not purport to declare or confer any other right of citizenship than federal citizenship. He's talking in relation to state citizenship. Mm-hmm. It does not purport to give these classes of persons any status as citizens of states, except that which may result from their status as citizens of the United States. The power to confer the right of state citizenship is just as exclusively with the several states as the power to confer the right of federal citizenship is with Congress.
So I know it was targeted towards people of color and all that. Like, how did they end up encompassing everyone?
They didn't.
They didn't.
Even to
It's
this
just-
day.
So wait. So
The 14th
why-
Amendment has absolutely nothing to do with me at all whatsoever. Never has. I was not born a citizen of the United States. I was born a citizen of Indiana.
So why are we quote unquote citizens of the United? Like,
Just ignorance.
knowingly- Just ignorance, right?
That's it.
Okay.
So I'll continue here. You'll see the rest of this picture very rapidly.
Jesus.
So Congress overrides President Johnson's veto on April 9th, 1866, which is the exact day it went into legal effect. So think about it this way. The citizen of the United States class that you know of was born on April 9th, 1866.
Okay.
Congress is nervous about how legal this new, quote, citizen of the United States, end quote, class is. And they're also nervous about how the Civil Rights Act of 1866 could easily be repealed when new power comes into Congress. The solution was to turn it into a constitutional amendment in order to make it nearly impossible to repeal. And I have tons of cases talking about that. We can cover just a couple here. Let's cover, here we go, Heard v. Hodge. This is from the Supreme Court in 1948. Both the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the joint resolution, which was later adopted as the 14th Amendment, were passed in the first session of the 39th Congress. Frequent references to the Civil Rights Act are to be found in the record of the legislative debates on the adoption of the amendment. It is clear that, in many significant respects, the statute and the amendment were expressions of the same general congressional policy. Indeed, as the legislative debates reveal, one of the primary purposes of many members of Congress in supporting the adoption of the 14th Amendment was to incorporate the guarantees of the Civil Rights Act of 1866 in the organic law of the land. So the entire purpose of creating the 14th Amendment was to convert the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which is a statutory element, into a constitutional element, making it nearly impossible to get rid of. That was the entire purpose of it, was to basically tie it down.
Okay.
So the 14th Amendment passed by the Senate on June 8th, 1866, and then it was quote-unquote ratified 2 years later on July 9th, 1868. Its passing is quite suspect due to the southern states being occupied by the military and forced to sign it to re-enter the Union. So you'll hear a lot of people talk about how the 14th Amendment was never legally ratified. The reason why people say that is because you can't legally sign an agreement or document in law when you've got a gun to your head. It's not considered a legal signature. That's basically all the southern states basically signed on to the 14th Amendment with a pistol in their mouth. Literally. It's not even like a metaphorically. Literally a pistol in their mouth. It's like if I kidnapped someone and had them in my basement for a month and put a gun in their mouth and forced them to sign loan documentation. Mm-hmm. Is that legal?
Yeah, no.
It's the exact same thing, literally, right?
Yeah.
So the slaughterhouse cases, which is a case that occurred in 1872 and 1873, talk about all of this. Is the first time when they finally talk about all this and get this all sorted out in the courts. And basically, at this point, they sort of expand the protections from the 14th Amendment through judicial interpretation to include other non-white races. The examples that they use in this case are Chinese coolies and Mexicans. And then the 14th Amendment protections were expanded in Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad Company, and this is the case where they decided to add in corporations as persons under the 14th Amendment.
Here we go.
All right, that seems like a great place to cut the feed on Twitter. Everybody go to Substack if you want to keep watching. It'll be out everywhere else on Monday. Peace. All right, continue, sir.
So basically, the way it works is, let me go back here to, so what we're looking at is we're looking at the, so where does this 14th Amendment, you can see, so here's the language from the Civil Rights Act of 1866. You can see here, all persons within the jurisdiction of the United States shall have the same right in every state and territory to make and enforce contracts, to sue, be parties, give evidence, and to the full and equal benefit of all laws and proceedings for the security of persons and property as is enjoyed by white citizens. So we've already seen the people and persons thing get separated in Dred Scott. Dred Scott was good law when they wrote the Civil Rights Act of 1866. This is additional evidence of that fact. Persons, the word persons, basically, if you were to give it a legal definition, it means enslaved Negroes.
So can I ask you real quick, does this, because I've talked about this before, asked people, I don't know if it has any connection. It just strikes me as weird. Like when you go in an elevator and shit like that, because that's a technical thing, it's like it says so many persons.
You see it in
Does it
pools.
say that?
Yeah,
Yes, all the places like that. It says persons, not people.
So technically, they're saying enslaved Negroes. I'm not kidding. I swear to God.
Wow, dude. It's just never changed. It's never.
I'm just gonna
It's
say
just
it's
never
not,
changed.
it doesn't apply to me. I'm just gonna. I'm not an enslaved Negro, so I'm good. I'm good to go. So
The
what?
enslaved, the
by this,
enslaved Negroes. So what happened with the enslaved Negroes? The 14th Amendment gave them citizenship, and then that citizenship, that 14th Amendment citizenship, applied to their entire bloodline. So every single child, grandchild, great-grandchild that they've had, they took on the 14th Amendment citizenship from their grandfather. So another question I can ask you is, what if you have an African man who comes over from Africa and immigrates here and naturalizes here, but he was never actually enslaved and he does not come from a bloodline of which was enslaved? Mm-hmm. Would that person fall under the definition of a 14th Amendment citizen? Would they be considered a persons? That's another question. Right. Because the thing is, you have to be white to be a citizen of a state. You have to be an enslaved Negro to be a citizen of the United States. So the question kind of beckons, what about everybody else?
Yeah. And did they reverse it? Like, I mean, like basically, since we're all slaves now, how did we become engulfed into everything?
We told the government that we
opted
are
into it.
enslaved Negroes.
and they took us at our word. They're like,
And they took
okay,
us at
they
our word.
say they are. They must be.
So that's why, like, taxation, people say, oh, taxation is voluntary. Oh, it goes way beyond that. Everything is voluntary. Everything is voluntary. You walk in, you want a passport. They ask you if you're a United. They didn't come to your door. You went to their door for a passport. They ask you, are you a U.S. citizen? You say yes, and then you sign under penalty of perjury that it's truthful. They didn't show up at your door. They took exactly what you told them.
Yep. Fuck, man. For a driver's license, too. Same thing.
Driver's
Are you
license
a
asks
US
you.
citizen?
It asks you if you're a U.S. citizen, and it also asks you if you're a resident. The word resident, I will show you what that means. That's going to really rip your face off.
These motherfuckers.
Oh,
So if a U.S. citizen is underneath Congress and underneath the District of Columbia and is not a citizen of California, the way they describe that is a U.S. citizen and resident of California. Okay, I'm a citizen of California. A U.S. citizen is not a citizen of California. They're a resident of California. So you have to ask yourself, what the hell does resident mean then?
Yeah.
And here's the definition. It comes straight from the Law of Nations, which is a major, it's what the whole country's built on, Law of Nations. Residents, as distinguished from citizens, are aliens who are permitted to take up a permanent abode in the country. Being bound to the society by reason of their dwelling in it, they are subject to its laws so long as they remain there, and being protected by it, they must defend it, although they do not enjoy all the rights of citizens. They have only certain privileges which the law or custom gives them. Permanent residents are those who have been given the right of perpetual residence. They are a sort of citizens of a less privileged character and are subject to the society without enjoying all of its advantages. Their children succeed to their status, for the right of perpetual residence is given them by the state, passes to their children. Now let me ask you, when it says here, they are citizens of a less privileged character and are subject to the society without enjoying all of its advantages, let me ask you, what is the definition of the word advantages in America?
Advantages.
A leg up, money, high positions.
No,
I mean, that's
way
what-
worse than that. Way worse than that.
Jesus. I'm afraid to
The
answer.
answer is the entire Bill of Rights.
Are you shitting me?
U.S. citizens that are resident in California or another state of the Union have absolutely no right or access to the Bill of Rights at all whatsoever. None of them. Not the First, Second, Third, Fourth Amendment, nothing.
What are we
So
doing?
once you check a box and say you're a resident, that's it.
That's it. You just cooked yourself. You just took all 10 Bill of Rights and threw them right in the nearest trash can. And I'll teach you where you then end up. So you click resident, you get yourself a driver's license, you wad up all your Bill of Rights, you throw them in the nearest trash can. Where do you start? The answer to that is from U.S. versus Valentine. I will give you the exact quote on that. We'll go to my treatise on the word person. We're going to go down to Valentine. So this is where you start. When you say you're a U.S. citizen or a resident, this is your starting point. You're now on a whole different, you've now left the Constitution behind, you've thrown it in the trash can, and now you're in a congressional zone, and this is where you begin. You begin with the only absolute and unqualified right of citizenship, referring to U.S. citizenship, is to residence within the territorial boundaries of the United States. A citizen cannot be either deported or denied reentry. This is the only thing you're allowed to do as a U.S. citizen. You have absolutely no access to the Bill of Rights at all.
Is this
Then-
why we get thrown in jail and shit like that if we're going around without a license and everything?
And that's also why the first thing they have to do is check the license. They have to ensure that you're a
Yeah, you're a
14th Amendment
resident.
citizen before they can even deal with you.
Bitch. Son of a bitch.
So what happened was, over many, 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 many years, the judicial branch started to incorporate each of the individual amendments into the Negro class, slowly and piecemeal. So what we have here, this is called the incorporation doctrine, right? So the First Amendment, we have each individual section. This is all the white people's rights. And this is the judiciary giving the white people's rights to the Negroes. So the guarantee against the establishment of religion was incorporated in a case called Emerson v. Board of Education in 1947. The free exercise of religion was given to the Negro race in Hamilton v. Regents of the University of California in 1934 and in Cantwell v. Connecticut in 1940. So, for example, if you're a U.S. citizen or a Negro who was previously enslaved or your bloodline was enslaved, you wouldn't say, I have a First Amendment right to the free exercise of religion. That's false, and the court won't accept it. You would say, I am a bloodline of enslaved Negroes, and I have the right to free exercise of religion, not from the First Amendment, but from Hamilton v. Regents of the University of California and from Cantwell v. Connecticut. If you say it that way, the court will accept it. You don't have freedom of speech under the First Amendment. Only white citizens of the states have that. You're a resident in California. But you do have the freedom of speech right through Gitlow v. New York since 1925. You don't have freedom of the press under the First Amendment as a U.S. citizen. You have it under Neer versus Minnesota from 1931.
This is wild, dude.
So they piecemealed. Now look at how recent the U.S. citizen class was given the Second Amendment.
Holy shit. 2010? What?
Holy shit.
What the fuck is going on?
So for example, you can get pulled over and you can get a ticket, and then now there's a prosecutor that goes after you. How does that work? Well, that works because the right to indictment by a grand jury was never incorporated as per Hurtado versus California in 1884. This case has absolutely no application to a white citizen of a state. A white citizen of a state has the right to be indicted by a grand jury only under the Fifth Amendment. So I cannot have a ticket written on me at all. It would actually be unconstitutional. But if you write a ticket on a U.S. citizen, it's 100% constitutional.
Holy shit,
Holy
man.
shit, dude. Okay. God, dude. Oh.
It's just like they know that you're never gonna, not no one, obviously you're doing it, but most people don't have the time to look into all these little fucking things. They're just like, this is what my parents taught me. I'm just doing what everybody else fucking does.
They want to do the right thing. They want to pay their taxes. They want to just be alone and not be bothered. And
Well, here's
all
the
that
worst
shit.
part. Here's the worst part. So we've gone all the way to the end here. This is the grand finale. So the first 8 amendments of the Bill of Rights is the enumerated rights. So if we go to the Bill of Rights, and we're going to just go down and we're just going to look at them and read them. Let's see if it just gives me a quick little... Nope. I just want a quick... Just give it to me. Where are they?
Give it to me.
Let's see if we can find it rapidly. Here we go. So here we go. Freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, petition, right to bear arms, quartering of soldiers, search and seizure, grand jury, double jeopardy, self-incrimination, due process, takings, right to speedy trial, witness, counsel, jury trial, excessive fines. Now, let's stop at the 8th Amendment. We have to ask ourselves, what about the right to practice law? What about fishing licenses? What about a license to practice medicine? What about a business license? What about a driver's license? What about all these things that may not have been specifically and exclusively mentioned in the first 8 amendments? That's your 9th Amendment, non-enumerated rights retained by the people. So if we go to find the original communication that they were talking about, the Founding Fathers, regarding the 9th Amendment, this is what James Madison said. It has been objected also against a Bill of Rights that by enumerating particular exceptions to the grant of power, it would disparage those rights which were not placed in that enumeration, and it might follow by implication that those rights were not singled out, that those rights which were not singled out were intended to be assigned into the hands of the general government and were consequently insecure. Meaning, if I say you can have guns and water, that can sort of imply you can't have anything else. This is one of the most plausible arguments I have ever heard urged against the admission of a Bill of Rights into this system. But I conceive that it may be guarded against. I have attempted it, as gentlemen may see, by turning to the last clause of the 4th resolution, referring to what eventually became the 9th Amendment. The 9th Amendment is the etc. amendment.
Okay.
Everything. Guns, machine guns, explosives, bombs, mines, houses, cars, driving, fishing, every single fucking thing above and beyond the 8th Amendment is in the 9th Amendment. The 9th Amendment has never been incorporated. They won't even talk about it. It's not even on the list. As a note, the 9th Amendment and 10th Amendment has not been incorporated, and it is unlikely they ever will be. So the everything else amendment was never given to the Negroes. And this is where all of your rights went, right here. The 9th Amendment is everything, and you're telling them you're a Negro, and that's why you don't have it. You, essentially, the way the government looks at it is you gave up your own 9th Amendment willingly. You walked into the DMV, they didn't force you, and you took your 9th Amendment and you just threw it in a trash can.
Do you hear that? Every white supremacist with a driver's license. You told the government that you're a Negro. Swallow that pill, motherfucker. Willingly. No one forced you.
So that's it.
Insane.
And if anybody wants to get a lot more information about this, you can go to williamsandwilliamslawfirm.com. It's my law firm. I do practice law without a license, by the way. Fuck the bar. And you're going to go down to a treatise on the word person. It's quite a lot, but it has all. And then you can also get to the flow chart that I was just showing you at the top of the screen. You're going to scroll down to important note number 2, and it has information as to where you can find that flow chart. And then I also have a free contract killer course that covers the treatise in great detail. It's a video course. It's totally free. You can also sign up for that through the important note number 1.
So what's the well, actually, before I even ask that, I have to ask you. So you're saying that clearly all these things were written in a very specific and intelligent way and passed down in a very intelligent way to make us all believe that we are these entities that they're talking about under their rule. So who is behind this? Who do you think cleverly crafted this thing that enslaved us all? Because the people I see in government now aren't smart enough to do that. So I don't know,
I don't think
what.
This is just a series of fuck ups that, somebody has come along and basically capitalized on somehow, some way. From all of the government people I've worked with or talked to, I would agree. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on. I mean, I don't think prosecutors or judges or anyone knows that the entire reason why there's even a penal code, the entire reason why they're able to write a traffic ticket is because of the case Hurtado versus California, which was one of the cases that did not incorporate part of the Fifth Amendment into the Negro class. And most of the government doesn't know anything about state citizenship. And if you bring it up, the people who do know, they get really weird about it. They won't talk about it.
I mean, where do we go from here?
Well, part of the problem, frankly and honestly, is if the government were to suddenly announce all of this is true, they'd basically be announcing that white people have the Bill of Rights and black people don't, and other races don't, which obviously would...
And that definitely can't happen, for sure. That would be terrible.
Civil War.
I mean, I don't really worry too much about that. I don't really think that's really going to be an issue. You've got, I think white Americans, there's, what is it, like 4 guns per person, probably for that demographic.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried about. I don't want that to happen. I'm not saying that this is even necessarily right or wrong either. I have a lot of mixed personal opinions about all of it. I'm not really sure. Really, I believe every country deserves to have its base nationality, but on the flip side, I'm kind of like, well, shit. But it's been so long. What about all the people that were born here? They don't deserve to just get crushed. So I don't know. I kind of go back and forth. It's a tough.
Yeah.
But if it was worked out in a way where everyone could win, and it doesn't need to be something that happens all overnight. It could be something that occurs over the course of 5 years, 10 years, or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it just requires some crafting and some notice and some planning. But to just wholesale avoid the truth because you're worried about what the instantaneous implications might be, while everyone is essentially enslaved to the system that was originally designed for the Negroes, is just silly.
Yeah.
And then to pretend that this isn't a racial issue is also silly, because it is a racial issue, whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, center, up, down, east, west. It doesn't matter where you stand, what race you are. You could be a trans, gun-toting liberal who loves Trump but wants to, it could be anything, any mixture of any political ideology, any mixture of gender ideology. None of that really matters. It is a racial issue. Whether you like it, whether you don't, whether you agree with it, whether you don't, whether you think it's horrible, whether it doesn't matter. Opinions, the fact that this is a racial issue is not an opinion-based piece of information.
It's law-based.
Yeah.
It's a fact. And the longer we've been avoiding that conversation for 150 years. And all I have to say is, how has that been working out for you?
Yeah. It's pretty great, man.
How did you unbecome a slave?
Well, when I realized all this, I just went through and just cleaned everything up, got rid of my driver's license, got rid of all my stuff with guns, because the way I look at it is all that stuff makes me a Negro. So it's just like I have to get rid of all of it or clean it all up, and then all I have left is just a passport, and then I did the passport in a special way to kind of let them know what I am and what I'm not, and honestly, I don't even need that anymore. And you ask me, well, if you didn't have a passport, how would you fly? That's kind of like where we're kind of headed right now. That's kind of like, I would say that's probably like the next step in our adventure is to try to figure that out. What do we just start suing everybody? That's also probably one of the things we're going to start doing. We go in, oh no, I'm a white citizen in California. I'm not a U.S. citizen. I'm not even qualified to have a passport. And technically it would be unconstitutional to even go through TSA as a white citizen of California. So how would a white citizen of California be handled? Would they be handled the same way that diplomats are handled, where they're just kind of taken around the side and they just go right past security? That's how diplomats are handled. That's really how a white citizen of a state is supposed to be handled. So it's essentially white privilege to a level that, like, you know, the liberals run around and they say white privilege, and they don't even know it's 100 million times worse than their literal worst nightmare. Like, talk to a liberal who's screaming about white privilege and literally amplify that by like 100 million, and like maybe you get close, maybe.
So you don't have a license,
No, I can't have a license.
right? You can't have.
I don't have one, and I can't get one.
Have you been pulled over? Have you
No.
dealt with this?
If I did, I would just tell them I'm a white citizen in California. It's not my problem to fucking educate you, and you have no qualified immunity with me.
So these
Zero.
cops, because we know these cops are illiterate when it comes to this fucking shit, right?
That's fine. They're going to get sued. They're going to get sued. They're going to get deposed. They're going to look like fucking retards. I'm going to put all the videos on the internet. I'm going to destroy their whole fucking lives.
Have you had to go down that road?
No, but I will.
Really?
Yeah, I've never gotten
So
pulled
they
over.
know what they know enough of the law to know.
No,
that
no,
you're
I've never
right?
gotten pulled over. I've never gotten pulled over.
Really?
I have videos of people getting pulled over and it goes bad, and I have videos of people getting pulled over and they're just let loose. And then I have videos of people who are in the middle, kind of. I have videos in all my people, if they want to use, we have special diplomatic license plates that I make, and we
Okay.
also have our own special passports
I
make.
was gonna ask you. Are you driving around with a California plate on? Is it registered or not?
No, I can't register because I'm not a resident.
Right. Yeah. That's just. Yeah, I know.
I'm not a resident of California.
It's so crazy.
So in terms of the legal system in California, on paper, I don't live here.
Okay.
Because they can only really see residents. So like in the legal world, they can't really see me, if that makes sense.
Yes, but okay. So now, where you live, do you own that property?
No, I rent.
You rent. Okay. Okay. Cool. So you're not.
And I rent willingly and voluntarily and knowingly. And the reason why I rent is actually much more simple. The reason why I rent is because I do legal research all day long. I don't want to deal with anything. If something clogs or breaks, I don't even want to fucking look at it. So I live in like a luxury building. I have an app. I go click, clogged sink, come, and they within 24 hours, a very a friendly young man shows up in a uniform and unclogs my sink in literally like 60 fucking seconds and then leaves.
That works.
So
Done. Boom.
that's why a lot of people are like, how do you own property? How do you I don't have all the answers to everything, because a lot of my research is based on me doing stuff. I'm the guinea pig for almost everything.
Right.
And I try to like release it to everyone. I try to like allow the crazier people to also be guinea pigs, because I'm the kind of person that would love to be a guinea pig if I had the opportunity. I am the guinea pig for my own stuff, but I'm saying even if I had the opportunity for someone else's stuff, like I'd be wanting to get involved in that, right? So we have a lot of people who kind of do that as well, but I'm pretty much the guinea pig for everything, and I've never been married, I don't own property, so there's certain areas of law that I haven't gone super ultra deep on, just due to the fact that I don't have personal experience with it, but I have a lot of circumstantial evidence. I have stuff to say about that. We have a really large community now. Hundreds of thousands of people are doing this stuff. So we also get a lot of information from people in family court, people doing this, we have a lot of people who got divorced on purpose just to sever their relationship with the state, but they're still together.
Yeah.
Like man, woman, learning the law together. They realize they want to get the state out of their relationship, so they annihilate the marriage license, but they still stay together and they do like common law marriage or some other alternative. We have a lot of that kind of stuff. We have children being born without birth certificates. We have people going into family court doing all sorts of crazy legal antics there. We have, and then I sue banks and government agencies and large financial organizations. I'm kind of like the David and Goliath of everything, you know?
Okay.
And that's kind of what like the whole platform is essentially in a nutshell. And a lot of the stuff that I've covered with you guys in the show is fairly new information. I would say within the last, well, I started writing the treatise on the word person in like the beginning of 25, but it wasn't until probably like the 3.0 course, which was this year. I just released it on May 16th. It wasn't really until that things started to get really, really organized and tied down, and we had the flow chart. The flow chart's pretty new. It's like March of this year. So we're constantly trying to explain everything simpler and better. For example, you know, I just showed you guys in an hour and a half what would have taken somebody, you know, 30 or 40 years in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
you know, it's a tremendous, and then AI obviously does help us a lot and I don't use AI to think for me. That's a huge mistake. I use AI to find me timelines, historical facts, and quotes.
There you go.
So AI, find me a quote where a Supreme Court justice talks about blah between these years or in the 1800s or whatever. That would take, if you went down to the law library, that could take you years and years and years of your life. We can do it now with AI in 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Huge game changer for legal research. I truly believe the legal profession is going to be the first profession obliterated by AI, but it's going to be obliterated for good reason. And the reason why is because the industry is so shitty. It's not, it has no heart, it has no soul. It's kind of a shithole. And you know, when you start reading a lot of cases from the 1800s, if we had law like how it was in the 1800s, where you had like real men who really cared about the country, AI wouldn't have really come in and had a huge monster effect. If this was 1850 right now, and AI was released, it would have like some effect, but it wouldn't really be all that big.
Right.
But because the industry and because the legal profession's gotten so confused and convoluted, and because nobody knows jack shit, and because their solution to everything is release another 120,000 page bill, that's their solution to everything.
Yes.
That's why AI is going to destroy the legal profession.
So you would suggest that people using AI to help research specific things, but not doing it for advice, right? Like
you can never, ever, ever ask AI to think for you. You play fetch with AI only and exclusively.
Yep.
Find me this. I'm looking for this. I've looked here and here. Where else can I look? Find me quotes on this. You can even ask about specific justices. Find me every single quote where Justice Samuel Freeman Miller talked about citizenship.
Yeah, it's like an ultimate Google search, but can actually tell you real shit instead of just what's on Google.
Yeah. 'Cause the real scary shit is people using this AI thing to make decisions
and that's the big downfall. That's the bad. That's the bad side. So the legal profession right now is under tremendous stress because 9 million people are going pro se now, and they're filing in all sorts of trash through AI into the dockets. And it's killing the court system. So we need to straighten that up. AI is a supplementary tool, because I always tell people the same thing. People are like, oh, I'm going to use AI. I'm going to win my court case. And don't get me wrong. There's people out there who have done it. There's plenty of people who have done it and done that. But here's my rebuttal to that. If I was an attorney and I knew that it was some idiot guy who was just using AI, I would call a hearing and I would demand in the motion for a hearing for it to be in person. And then I would just utterly slaughter you live. So when they file in this AI thing, and then now there's a hearing, and then there's the lawyer, and the lawyer slaughters them, they're confused, and it's like, how is that confusing? How is that confusing? That's exactly what I would do. That's exactly what anyone with half a brain cell would do. That's exactly what you should do if you're confronted with a brand new attorney, and you know some of this information, motion for a hearing and force the hearing to be in person, not over Zoom.
There you go.
Bring the cattle in for slaughter. So it's not rocket science, but the problem with leaning too hard on AI is you become the cattle who can then be called in for slaughter. So you have to ask yourself, basically you're kind of shooting a gun into the air and hoping that there's never going to be a hearing. Essentially, that's
Right.
that's kind of that's a pretty long shot. I mean, gosh, that's a pretty rough. People have done it and people have succeeded. I'm not saying
I would
they
assume
haven't.
those people already had a brain, though. Like they were
No,
already.
I think the better thing is if you want to go down that road, just be ready for the fact that if they call a hearing, you're fucked. Like,
yeah.
you're
Son of a bitch.
It's like you're gonna run 100 yards, you get one shot, one down, and that's it. You know what I mean? That's the whole game.
Yep.
So if you want to play it, fuck it. I mean, getting somebody into the courts is what I live for. So if that's fine, but just. I always find it funny when you have somebody who files in an AI brief, they get called their first hearing, and then their first post next day on the internet when their case gets dismissed is how all the blood drinking Freemason satanic judges that are out there. It's like no, you literally tried to run the whole field in one down, brother. It's a bit tough. But if you go into it knowing like, well, if I get called in a hearing, I'm fucked, and you get called in a hearing and you're fucked, you can just kind of shrug your shoulders and say, oh, that was kind of fun. Whatever.
I tried.
Move on.
I gave it a go.
Well, that can be your first experience, and then you can from there learn more and come back, in a month or whatever, But I'm just saying the realistic expectations is really what's missing. The realistic expectations of AI, the real expectations of, having to go in and actually talk to people live, it's like what these expectations just aren't there. And I think that's a huge bridge it's missing from all of this, But the whole industry is like in total chaos right now.
That's good.
If
I like
you
that.
go back and you stop paying taxes, what if you paid in? Can you get any of that back?
Yeah, you can file what's called a 1040X, which is but you can only do that for the past 3 years, I think.
Okay.
I don't know every little detail, but I'm pretty sure it's the past 3 years only. So the way that you would do that is you would file a 1040X along with a 1040NR, which is a non-resident alien version of a 1040. And then you just put 00000 essentially all the way down the page because you don't have any income from a trade or business in the United States. Mm-hmm. At the bottom, it'll say how much have you paid in. You'll write how much you've paid in for the whole year, and then below that, it'll say how much are we supposed to refund you. You would write the full amount below that.
Yeah.
We've had tons of people do this. Every single one pretty much gets approved.
Really?
Many of them have been paid out. Some of them have been approved, and then they just sit there, and they're never paid out over the course of many, many months. But we've never seen I have seen enough to know and tell you guys that the government pretty much accepts anything you tell them. That's the entire system of America.
They're all fucking morons that don't even want to be there, that aren't there half the time, that don't know how to do their job, that got hired on some bullshit thing. They're idiots. Name one well, you might be able to because you deal with a lot of people, but most people, name one person you've ever met that works for the government or the city or anything that you're like, that dude knows his stuff, or that lady's smart. Like, it's always some fucking bottom barrel motherfucker that got a city job and has just wrote it out his whole life, or, they're not the cream of the crop, is what I'm saying. So
100%. And the thing is it's just amazing. There's all these fight against the government, fuck the government, anarchy. But when you really understand with more meaningful relationship, the government just literally just accepts anything you give them. That's all they do. There's nothing to fight against. You told them you were a U.S. citizen. Now, if you just tell them you're not a U.S. citizen, they'll accept that just as quickly as they accepted the fact that you were a U.S. citizen.
So what's the
people?
very first step for someone who's listening to this and they're like, this dude fucking knows his shit. I've wanted to do this a long time. I'm ready. I'm going to start fixing my shit. What's the very first thing they should do?
I mean, the easiest thing is just stop paying taxes. That's the easiest thing.
Oh,
I mean,
can't we all just do this?
So how does that work with an employer, where your employer takes them out of your paycheck every week? Or whatever?
that's so self-employed is the easiest thing in the world, almost effortless. Employed is quite a bit more complex. So the answer to your question is the real honest answer to your question is you really shouldn't be filling out any forms. And the Social Security number is really just an employer identification number for your sole proprietorship. So everyone has this thing called a sole proprietorship. You see it on the forms, you see it on the tax forms, you see it everywhere. No one's ever asked. I'm the first guy to ever come along and ask, and I love this question. It's one of the coolest questions to ask people for introducing them to all of this information. Where in the fuck did this thing come from? It's a very, very powerful question because you can ask a brand new person. You know, grandma's sitting there knitting away and, paying my taxes, blah, blah, blah. You can say, Grandma, I have a question for you. This whole thing, sole proprietorship. You ever heard of a sole? Oh, yeah, of course, sole proprietorship. Yeah, of course. Grandma, where did that come from?
Not a clue.
There it goes.
In my opinion, it's one of the best ways that you can actually introduce someone to the legal world is that question. Where did the sole proprietorship come from? I'm honestly, even to this day, not entirely sure.
Wow. They just threw it in there,
Wow,
huh?
it's that much bullshit.
I believe that when your certificate of live birth is processed, the Department of Health and Human Services creates a corporate. I just don't. They create a corporation when they process the birth certificate, and that's the date that the sole proprietorship was. I don't know. That's the only. I don't have solid anything to give you on that, but that's really the only thing I can really, because if you look on your certificate of live birth, it says registration date, and it's usually about 2 weeks after you were actually born.
Things
So,
weird, man.
so you got to think registration date. So that's like the date they processed the certificate of live birth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So to me, it would make sense that somewhere in there,
In between, yeah.
in that processing, somewhere on that day, they opened up a business, which would have taken them 5 seconds, and they just fill out a little incorporation document, and the state incorporated a business of your name, and that's your
So I was
sole
gonna say,
proprietorship.
Registering
But I
with
don't
who?
have.
The
But I don't
state?
have. Yeah. So like my sole proprietorship would have been incorporated in Indiana on February 14th of 1986.
So you're automatically a business the minute you're born. They register you. And
Well. If you look at the, I'll do another screen share. Let's look at the W-9 tax form. And this is kind of where all this kind of broke for me, because if you look at the W-9 tax form, you'll see this is kind of when all this broke for me. I had a huge this all broke for me in December of 24. It's a huge breakthrough, and then we had to change everything. So if you look at the you guys have filled out 1 million of these. Everybody who's watching this has filled out 1 million of these,
yes.
right? So let's read the first 2 lines. Name of entity / individual. An entry is required. For a sole proprietorship or disregarded entity, enter the owner's name on line 1 and enter the business / disregarded entity's name on line 2. And you always see
holy fuck.
You always see the name printed in all capital letters, business name / disregarded entity name. The word entity basically means business or legal business, by the way. Are you I always ask people, the 2 best questions to ask people about the sole proprietorship. Number 1, where did it come from? Number 2, are you a business? I know it sounds dumb, but the reason why it's such a powerful question is because it's like, it's so obvious.
Yeah.
So name of, or enter the owner's name. So the owner's name would be Brandon Joe Williams, comma, white citizen. of California. And the business name, the sole proprietorship name, would be Brandon Joe Williams.
Holy shit.
So it's not that you are a business. Mm-hmm. It's that you own owner's name. So everyone is a business owner.
Oh, shit.
This entity is a 14th Amendment. I mean, let's be honest, Negro.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck.
Is that how you recommend people fill it out?
I'm just doing it in an extreme manner just to prove a point.
I'm just fucking with you, man.
But you
I'm just
could,
messing with
you could, like, if you want to see some wild shit, you can go to.
Yes, that's what we want to see.
All right. Well, here's my most recent case. Here's my most recent filing into the case. I would pay so much to see the judge's face when you open this one up. So here is my newest complaint. This is a full complaint. We're not going to go through everything. It's a lot of terminology and stuff. It's just going to take a long time. But I'll show you just the very beginning. And the court accepted this. This has already been accepted. This is actually docketed. I'm waiting to hear back. So here are the plaintiffs. Brandon Joe Williams, registered trademark, sole proprietorship, comma, Brandon Joe Williams, white Californian plaintiffs. Two different plaintiffs.
Okay. Yes.
Plaintiffs. Yes, that's very specific.
Comes now the plaintiffs, sole proprietorship, all caps Brandon Joe Williams, registered trademark, and white citizen of California, Brandon Joe Williams, hereafter plaintiffs, pro per. So I'm pro se for both plaintiffs. No one's ever seen anyone do this, by the way. I'm like the first person probably ever to do this. Pro se for both plaintiffs, right? It's the party section. Brandon Joe Williams, all caps, registered trademark, is a sole proprietorship, U.S. citizen, and resident of Glendale, California. He has privileges and immunities only under statutes, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the 14th Amendment, and the cases involved in the incorporation doctrine. He does not have direct access to the Bill of Rights. As a resident of California, he falls under the California Constitution of 1879. Legal fictions were added only into the 14th Amendment class in Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad Company and were never allowed to be considered citizens of the state, as made clear in Paul v. Virginia. This case talks about how corporations cannot be state citizens. And it's still law even to this day on July 1st, 2026. Brandon Joe Williams, upper and lowercase, was born a white citizen of Indiana, but is currently a white citizen of California due to a change in domicile. He has absolutely no right to the Civil Rights Act of 1866 or the 14th Amendment, as made clear in Bradwell v. State in 1870. That should be a 1873. So this case, which is still good law, even today, July 1st, 2026, says that white citizens of the states have no right to the 14th Amendment at all whatsoever. He has direct and unabridged access to all of the Bill of Rights without any need of the incorporation doctrine. This includes the 5th and 6th Amendments, partially incorporated into the 14th Amendment class, and the 3rd, 7th, 9th, and 10th Amendments, all of which are not incorporated. As a white citizen of California, he falls under the California Constitution of 1849. Brandon Joe Williams is not a resident of California and never has been.
Just laying it out. It's just laying it. You're telling them exactly.
So what is this whole case for? What did this start? Like, what made you file this?
That's going to require so much time. I don't know if we're going to get into all that.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. I was just.
I mean, we can go farther through it if you want to. I'll just read through. I'll just answer your question by just reading through this, and then we'll get to a certain point where it's just too fucking much, and we'll just end there.
Okay. Fair enough.
5, the differences between state and... Now, there's many ways they describe this whole 14th Amendment citizenship. Sometimes they say federal citizenship. Sometimes they say national citizenship. Sometimes they say U.S. citizenship. Sometimes they say citizen of the United States. Sometimes they say 14th Amendment citizenship. Those are all the same thing, all of it. Are all well covered in the following cases: Slaughterhouse cases, Bradwell v. State, Van Valkenburg versus Brown, U.S. v. Anthony. And then we have here Twinning versus New Jersey. This was the very first version of the incorporation doctrine, right? That came from 1908. Now, since that time, 1908, the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination was later incorporated into the 14th Amendment class in 1964 in Malloy versus Hogan. And the Second Amendment right to bear arms was incorporated in 2010 in McDonald versus Chicago. But this case is still packed with excellent information on the subject that is expansive, still relevant in today's world, and also easy to read and understand. This is the case that actually created the incorporation doctrine and shows the judicial intent of gifting these various sections of the Bill of Rights to the 14th Amendment class and protecting them federally while they reside in a foreign state of the Union. And what that means is California is a foreign state from the District of Columbia, even within their own codes.
Yes. Correct.
So I'm actually basically in a foreign country from the District of Columbia, essentially, right? This is talking about a Supreme Court thing that I sent in. It's just not really... That's the first time I split up the sole prop and the white citizen, and it was accepted by the Supreme Court. So I'm using that to show that this is allowable for docketing purposes. And it worked because it got docketed without any issues. So great. So going down, so it's all about turning my bills into money, basically. Right?
Okay,
That's what
I was gonna say. So you didn't just go down there and say one day, "I want to file this stuff." Like there was a reason.
Yeah, so this is the
turning
reason. So let's see if I just read this to you guys raw. Let's see if you can follow it and see if you can understand it. So lawful money was originally defined as gold and silver coins, as can be seen in Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution, of the U.S. Constitution. No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. Article 1, Section 10.
Son of a bitch.
Let's see what Article 1, Section 10 says. Right? God damn it, what is this? I'm human, bitch.
Damn right.
Motherfucker.
So, let's see here. Here we go. No state shall, and then we have a whole bunch of shit. Here's the next one here. Make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts.
That's
Okay?
it.
And I explain how and what happened to that and all that in the complaint. So let's just go back to the complaint and we'll just read this thing raw and see if you guys can follow it, okay? Mm-hmm. Legal tender is composed of negotiable instruments which fall into only two classes: unconditional promises, notes, and unconditional orders, drafts to pay, promissory notes and drafts. This is clarified in the California Commercial Code, Section 3104, which is the definition of a negotiable instrument. The U.S. citizen or citizen of the United States class was originally created by Congress in the Civil Rights Act of 1866 in order to protect the Negroes that had been released from slavery from the 13th Amendment. It was created in response to the Black Codes in the South and the Dred Scott versus Sanford decision in 1857. Prior to the advent of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the term citizen of the United States simply meant a white citizen of a state, such as a white Californian. This was clearly defined by Justice Solomon Haydenfeld in Ex parte Knowles, which is the 1855 case we read at the beginning of this show. Congress was worried about how legal their new citizenship their new congressional citizenship class was, and they were also worried about it being repealed when the power shifts in Congress. Their solution to this was to turn the Civil Rights Act of 1866 into a constitutional amendment, which became the 14th Amendment. This citizenship class is tied to the District of Columbia, not a state of the Union, and this class is only a resident while in a state of the Union, meaning they are not a full citizen of the state. They do not have direct access to the Bill of Rights, but only have access to those privileges and immunities via the incorporation doctrine cases. Currently, U.S. citizens who are resident in California only have partial access to the 5th and 6th Amendments, and they have no access to the 3rd, 7th, 9th, or 10th Amendments. All of this was covered thoroughly by the Honorable Samuel Freeman Miller in the Slaughterhouse cases and in a judgment that occurred the following day called Bradwell v. State. 31 U.S.C. 5103 is clear that foreign gold or silver coins are not legal tender for debts. This applies to all residents or other national, federal, U.S. citizens under the 14th Amendment because that citizenship class is tied to Congress, not directly into a state. All residents of California are forced to use legal tender as their primary currency. It is only white citizens of California that fall under Article 1, Section 10's decree of using gold and silver coins. The California Commercial Code is the law book regarding the operation of the currency for residents. Every resident in this state, when issuing or handling notes or drafts, is duty bound to this code. In very simple and concise English, it is explained like this. 14th Amendment citizens are tied to the District of Columbia, and their currency operates under 31 U.S.C. 5103, while they are residents in a state. While white citizens of California must operate under Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution. And the reason why is because state citizens are constitutional citizens. U.S. citizens are congressional citizens that are not under the Constitution. So you hear all these reports and all this stuff about how people go into court and they say Constitution this, Constitution that, and the judges say it doesn't apply here.
Yes.
The judges are correct. It doesn't apply because you're assumed to be under the 14th Amendment. You have to break the presumption of being a U.S. citizen before you can use the Constitution.
Okay.
Jesus.
And then here's the definition of a resident, the one we've already read before. This clear separation between these separate citizenship classes and legal structures that we have in our country was clearly commented on by Justice Henry Billings Brown in Downs versus Bidwell in 1901 when he said, quote, "We have in this country substantially or practically two national governments, one to be maintained under the Constitution with all its restrictions, the other to be maintained by Congress outside and independently of that instrument by exercising such powers as other nations of the earth are accustomed to exercise." So this is not super weird. This is actually how the country's been set up ever since the beginning. What's super weird about it is Congress was never supposed to be able to create their own class of citizenship.
Right.
And here we are.
There was only supposed to be one class of citizen, and then Congress created their own separate class. That's really what fucked everything up. But the idea that we've always had two systems, it was like this all the way since the very beginning. It's always been like this. The difference is just before 1866, the Congress was composed of white citizens of the states. So all the white Californians would vote on which white California senator and representative they want to send to Congress. They would send their best and brightest white citizens to Congress, and then Congress, each individual member of Congress was a white citizen of the state they came from, but their congressional zone itself was outside of the bounds of the Constitution. So that's how the country was all the way up until the Civil Rights Act of 1866 and the 14th Amendment. Then everything got muddled and confused because that's when now you have U.S. citizens, and then everyone who works for the government kind of becomes a U.S. citizen because a U.S. citizen is also defined as somebody who works for the government, as you saw in the tax code.
Right.
So it's sort of like implied that even if there was a citizen of a state, they sort of like give up their state citizenship to become U.S. citizens when they go into Congress. It just fucked up literally everything.
Are you, in this deal here, are you saying that you don't need to pay the bills because you don't fall under this?
Well, we'll go into
Because they weren't given to you
can't-
in gold or silver?
No. We'll go a little farther and see if you can figure it out. And if you can't, we'll just stop on this because it's going to get real wild here in a minute. So let's just see.
It's
about to get crazy.
I'm a bit curious to see if you guys can follow this. So let's just
Ryan.
see. If it gets to be too much, I'll just explain it in a simple way. But I kind of want to see.
Okay.
So
No,
here's the
go
next
for it.
one. The two primary types of negotiable instruments in our society were silver certificates and gold certificates. And I actually have one right here on my desk.
Oh.
They look just like Federal Reserve notes. Now, mind you, Federal Reserve note, it says the word note right in it. It's not rocket science. Silver certificate is also a note, but if I read it to you, it says here, $1 in silver payable to the bearer on demand. So you have to ask yourself, $1 of silver, what is that, right? And that's what this is, right? These were notes, which are unconditional promises to pay or give something to somebody, which promise the bearer a certain weight of gold or silver coins upon presentment. The word dollar, the legal definition of the word dollar, shockingly, is a specific weight of either gold or silver coins. So if you have a Federal Reserve note and you say $1, that actually doesn't even make fucking literally any sense. You can't have you can't have $1 Federal Reserve note. Dollar means weight. That's what the word dollar means. So with a $1 silver certificate, it would give you one coin. That coin would have a weight of 371.25 grains of fine silver, which fine silver was defined as 0.999 or above. So when you say, oh, give me $1, legally what you're saying is give me 371.25 grains of fine silver in coin form.
No shit.
So there is no such thing as a dollar when it comes to Federal Reserve notes because dollar means weight. Okay? On April 5th, 1933, Executive Order 6102 effectively eliminated the holding of gold coins as well as the usage of gold certificates. That was the Emergency Banking Act, right, during the Great Depression. Then, in 1963, we had the repeal of key silver purchase laws in Public Law 88-36 and the Coinage Act of 1965. Now this, just to let you know, a lot of this information here I was able to find using AI in about 6 seconds. But I wrote this. So I would type in, what was the main point after the Emergency Banking Act when you really started to see silver start to get removed from the economy? And then it gave me Public Law 88-36 and the Coinage Act of 1965. I do a little bit of background research and make sure AI isn't fucking hallucinating. And then I take that information and then I write, this is my own writing, but the informational points that you're seeing here, I was able to find through AI very rapidly. That's how I use AI. I use AI to find me things, and then I'm the one who writes it all by hand. Okay?
Yeah.
Then, finally, President Richard Nixon closed the gold window on August 15th, 1971, which ended the convertibility of our money supply to gold. This left our currency system without money and resulted in a purely fiat currency that has no real backing called a Federal Reserve note.
Yep.
This is the reason why today's currency system is so odd, which you will fully see in this First Amendment complaint. It's not backed by any precious metal like it once was. Money is defined as, in usual and ordinary acceptation, it means gold, silver, or paper money used as a circulating medium of exchange and does not embrace notes. Whereas currency is defined as coin money and such banknotes or other paper money as are authorized by law and do in fact circulate from hand to hand as the medium of exchange. So to say that Federal Reserve notes are money would be false. But to say that they are currency would be legally acceptable. But the more pure and clear way of describing the differences would be lawful money and legal tender, as this is how Congress personally separated the two in their descriptions and talks. The courts commonly use the term specie to describe silver and gold coins and to differentiate it from paper currency. When you read the legal tender cases, which is where the whole legal tender thing comes from, they use the term specie all through the legal tender cases.
Strange.
The original basis of our legal tender system is found in the legal tender cases from 1870. These series of decisions decided that Congress could issue their own notes of obligation outside of the constraints of Article 1, Section 10 on states to only use gold and silver coins in tender on payment of debt. These decisions are the background behind the language that we see on Federal Reserve notes even in today's world. Quote, this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. The term note means promissory note or unconditional promise to pay. In today's fiat currency world, the Uniform Commercial Code, hereafter UCC, is the model code for notes and drafts, which then become law through the state-specific adoptions of the model code. The state-adopted version of the model UCC in California is the California Commercial Code. And then this is where we start to go way off the deep end at this point. And we start getting into like intense commercial code terminology. So I think we'll probably end there because I don't think you guys will survive through this. Not to be mean, but
explode.
It's just like a lot. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
No offense taken, bro. No
Not at
offense
all. I'm
taken.
just like, wow, dude.
So to answer your question simply, I ended the there we go. So to answer your question simply, the definition of the word security is any document or instrument that shows evidence of a debt. An unconditional promise to pay, which is called a note, is someone unconditionally promising to pay someone else whatever. So that promissory note shows evidence of a debt. This guy promised this guy to pay.
Yeah.
This is the evidence of that debt. So a promissory note is a security. So everything in your wallet is literally just a bunch of securities.
It's a bunch of debt.
Yeah.
Now, drafts. So if I do another screen share, this is the part that's so shocking to people. Because that's the part, what I just said is like, all right, people can think with that. They can kind of have that. It's kind of shocking. Okay, I think I get it. Well, this is the really shocking part. So there's two types of negotiable instruments. So this is the definition of what we're talking about. Negotiable instrument means an unconditional promise or order to pay. An unconditional order is called a draft or a bill. So you get a bill in the mail for your phone. What are they doing on that bill? Are they unconditionally ordering you to pay a fixed amount of money with or without interest or other charges? Okay. That means that bill itself, by itself, is a security and has the same face value as a note does. It's the same class. So what did I do? They manufactured the security, and I gave them approval to take it back.
God. I can't wait to see how this turns out. Holy shit, bro.
That's what happened. And if you read the whole complaint, it's all the legalese, and there's a whole I'll show you. This is going to kind of rip your head off, but it might be kind of fun to show you. So if we go back to, I just did another screen share. If we go back to my complaint, right? And we're not going to read the rest of that because that's where it kind of really starts to take a nosedive at that point into complexities, right? But we're going to go all the way down to the flow chart that I made by hand to show how all this works. And I'll show you, and we'll see if I can.
And this is in your court documents that you filed. Yes.
So I'll read this to you guys. We'll see if we can get through this. This is pretty rough, but it's possible we could get through this. So flowchart breaking down the series of legal obligations for plaintiffs and defendant each time a draft unconditional order to pay is issued. Definition of payment. Everybody thinks payment means to give people Federal Reserve notes. No. All notes and all drafts all have the same legal value. They're all securities. The definition of payment is the performance of a duty, promise, or obligation, or discharge, or a debt, or liability by the delivery of money or other value. Also the money or other things so delivered. So if I deliver a bill to you, I just paid you. So drawer city of Glendale, the term drawer means the person who is ordering payment. That's the term drawer. Is ordering a drawee, and this is all commercial code terminology. So who's being ordered to pay, sole proprietorship. And then I'm the owner of the drawee, white Californian, okay? And there's some shit over here. We're just going to skip that because that's getting a little bit too far in the weeds for the purpose of this. So Brandon Joe Williams endorses the draft on behalf of the sole proprietorship to prepare it for negotiation. Negotiation just means transfer. And an endorsement, just like what you see on the back of your checks, that's the technology of how to negotiate these instruments. So when you start to understand there's different ways that you can negotiate these instruments, there's different types of endorsements, that is how you transfer these things. And we don't need to get into all that. It's getting a bit into the woods, but it's really pretty fucked. For example, here's a really fucked example. When I sign the face of the instrument, it becomes accepted, which changes the rules in terms of how they can dishonor the instrument or reject the instrument. But if I just told them to literally just go fuck themselves with the bill, technically speaking, The drawer then becomes responsible for paying the bill. So you can literally tell anyone who sends you a bill basically to go fuck themselves, and they then become saddled with having to pay it.
Yeah, but so what someone's going to say is like, so if I don't pay my electric bill and I just send them a letter saying fuck you, then they're not going to turn my electricity off? Like,
Well,
that's
when
what
they
people are
turn
going to say.
when they turn the electricity off, that's when you sue them.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, there's a term called the holder. The holder is the person in possession of the instrument. When they send you the bill, who is in possession of the instrument?
You have the bill.
You are.
Yeah.
The holder is the one with all the power.
Yeah. So that was the question.
So the
because that's
holder,
what
so you can tell them to go fuck themselves, and then you just keep when you tell them to go fuck themselves, you send them a copy of the original instrument. You say, "I'm now the holder," and then you turn around and sue the drawer for non-payment. You can legally do this.
I can't wait to see it come.
Now the problem is
God.
the courts have never seen
They might
anyone
kill
do
you.
this. Yeah, the
Right.
courts have never seen anyone. Like I'm in
just
like
not- they're
way like I'm like way deep into no man's land here.
I was
guys.
gonna say they're ill prepared for this, right? Like,
There's no one that's ever done anything like this. I don't think ever in the entire history of the legal system.
If you are successful in this and you set precedent, this could
This will
fuck
take
a
down the
lot.
entire financial
Yeah.
system.
I was gonna say the system's done.
Yeah, it's cooked.
and they'll owe. So is this retroactive? Would they owe if everyone got wise to this? Could you take your old bills back and be like, you owe all of us all this money, which I know they wouldn't have and all that because
It'd be
it's,
kind of hard to.
you know,
fucking
I've
do
been
that,
paying my
right?
bills
Like,
for fucking decades, but
Yeah, I would
technically,
track that.
hypothetically, would it work in reverse? Or once you paid it, once they sent it to you and you paid it and you agreed, then it's out the fucking window.
When they send you a bill, you have to send them either bills or notes to discharge the bill. So what's happening is they're sending you bills and you're sending them notes. But you could just send them bills to pay bills. It's the same thing. Bills and notes are the same thing. In fact, right in UCC 3-104, it says that if an instrument is both a note or a bill, the holder can treat it as whichever way it wants. So it's kind of a hermaphrodite. If you have a fucking document that's kind of a note and it's also kind of a bill, the holder can just choose to operate it either way.
I choose this. What's even crazier, it's more absurd today because now a lot of people sign up for automatic withdrawal. Like, I'm agreeing that you just say you're going to take this much of my digital assets this month out of my account as my bill comes in. Like, people do that for their light bill, their cable bill, their Netflix, all of that.
And the
They're
reason
just
why they're
pre-locked
doing
in.
that is not because of climate change. That's what they want you to believe. They want you to believe it's less paper. The reason why they're doing that is because it prevents you from ever becoming the holder of the bill.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a
That
suspicion
fucking
of something
tracks
like
right
that
there.
because you're automatically agreeing. I mean, I've read through that shit. And you're automatically agreeing that whatever they say they're going to charge you that month, you're automatically agreeing to pay ahead of time, and they have access to your account to take it from your account, period. So, like you said, you're never even getting a bill. It's just automatic. And I always wondered why I was like, why do they fucking, because a lot of cell phone companies and shit like that, they're like, if you do automatic bill pay, it's $5 less a month. Why would they do that? If you walk into a store and pay with cash, why is that? Why are they giving you a break when you don't? That's why. Because now you're fucking locked into that and there's no exchange there at all. It's just, yep, you can take my money. And it's
Well,
on the
they
way.
print so much information. Sometimes the bills will say "pay to the order of." It has the payee on there. It's got all these strings of numbers that look like account numbers. They don't even want you looking at the goddamn bill. They hope you don't even look at it.
Yeah. They make it.
And
most people don't.
Most people don't. But when you realize they're actually sending you cash.
God, I hope
That
that's
just
true,
fucking
man.
blows
Not
my
that I'm
mind.
doubting you.
So
I'm
every
just saying,
bill.
I fucking hope
So
that's
what is
true.
the definition of cash? The definition of cash is a physical negotiable instrument that can be rapidly and easily tendered as consideration in a commercial transaction. If you have a physical paper bill, it technically falls under the definition of cash.
So what I've always found weird is, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, call me stupid if you want, how like at a restaurant you say, oh, check please. If that's a check, but a check is also something you write to people to pay them. So is there any correlation there, or am I just reaching?
The definition of the word check is a negotiable instrument, which is an unconditional order to pay, which has a routing and account number on it. A draft does not have a routing and account number on it. It makes no difference. If you take a check with the routing and account number on it and you tear the routing and account number off, all you have is a draft. It still has the same legal value.
Jesus Christ, man, you're destroying everything for me. I love it.
So okay, so me as a Negro slave, right? What's this shit I hear about? I can have the IRS pay my fucking bills. Is that a real deal?
That's
or
easy.
what?
That's super easy. That's actually really easy. That's actually super easy. I'll show you that.
So it's real.
Oh yeah, that's the easiest. That's the easiest thing in the world. That's so fucking easy. Oh wait, you mean pay all your bills or
Well,
just your
no,
IRS bills?
I mean, either or.
Whatever. I mean, I got IRS bills. Shit, if the IRS can pay my IRS bills, is that a thing? Or?
That's easy. Yeah.
Okay.
The IRS paying any of your bills, I'm not so sure about that one. Some people have tried that. I don't really know about that one, but the IRS will pay your IRS bills for you. Yes, it's very easy. So I'll show you how you can do that.
Do tell.
I have a bunch of free documents. It's the amnestycoalition.org. I have my own nation, my own legal nation. It's called the Amnesty Coalition. And the website is theamnestycoalition.org. You're going to go to the resources and documents page. You're going to scroll down to where it says authorization for the campus to use Fedwire to settle the account. And I will clear up what that means. We're going to go down to, I will show this to you. So authorization for the campus to settle the account of a taxpayer using a bill of exchange or registered bill of exchange processed on Fedwire. So this comes straight from the Internal Revenue Manual.
Mm-hmm.
This is the internal workings of the Internal Revenue Service. This is like their own employee manual, essentially how they process things, how they do things. They, by law, have to publish everything in what's called the IRM, Internal Revenue Manual. Inside of the Internal Revenue Manual, you're going to find a section. I can't find it easily there, but I have the exact quote here on my document, so we'll just go with that. But I have the section numbers here. And you can just look up either of these section numbers, and you can probably find it pretty rapidly. You might need to use the find feature. But, well, let me show you from the IRM so you can see that it's real. IRM. Oh, whoops. Okay. There we go. Bill of exchange. If a bill of exchange or registered bill of exchange is received from a taxpayer authorizing the campus to settle their account through Fedwire, send everything received to the following address. So we have to translate this in English, obviously, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
So we're now. There's a reason why they wrote it like that. They do not want anyone finding out about this particular thing.
Of course.
Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a brand new text document, and let's go ahead and rewrite this. Okay? Mm-hmm. So here is the original text. And then here is the English version. So if a draft /bill /unconditional order to pay, all the same terminology, and we'll just skip registered bill of exchange, it's the same thing, is received from we have the word taxpayer, that comes from 26 USC 7701 subsection A14, which is right here. You guys won't believe this. This is so funny. This is their favorite word in the whole English language, taxpayer. They say, dear taxpayer, every single letter they send you, right? The term taxpayer means any person subject to any internal revenue tax. So if I said I was a taxpayer under penalty of perjury, I'd actually be committing perjury, which is up to 1 year in prison. I'm not a taxpayer. Even if I wanted to be a taxpayer, I'm not. I can't. It'd be illegal for me to say that I am, right? So the term taxpayer means any person subject to any internal revenue tax. Let's just take that, and we're just going to copy that and paste it here. From any person subject to any internal revenue tax. Authorizing the campus. So the campus is one of the 10 largest processing facilities at the IRS. So we'll just say authorizing one of the main 10 processing facilities at the IRS to settle their account through Fedwire. Send everything to... That's the whole thing in English. If a draft bill, unconditional order to pay, is received from any person subject to any internal revenue tax, authorizing one of the main 10 processing facilities at the IRS to settle their account through Fedwire, send everything to. Now, what is this Fedwire thing?
Yeah, what is this?
Comes from 12 U.S.C. 412. So this is the this is like the very, very top of the financial pyramid scam. This is as high as it goes. This is like the final step in all of the banking scam that we see on the planet, okay? So any Federal Reserve Bank may make application to the local Federal Reserve agent for such amount of the Federal Reserve notes hereinbefore provided as it may require. Such application shall be accompanied with a tender to the local Federal Reserve agent of collateral in amount equal to the sum of the Federal Reserve notes it's applied for. So let's take that, and we're going to write that in English.
This is great. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Come on.
That's what it means. And you see right here, if we go back to 12 U.S.C. 412, it says here, the collateral security thus offered shall be notes, drafts, bills of exchange, or acceptances. Give us your bills, and we'll give you Federal Reserve notes. And what platform do they use to swap those things? Fedwire. And it's actually called the Federal Reserve Discount Window. They have a website for you, and they give you the discount rates. So if you give them a $75 phone bill and you give them an application for notes to swap the $75 phone bill for Federal Reserve notes, they'll do it minus the discount rate.
Holy fuck, dude.
So you're essentially paying your bill with a bill.
That's correct.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
So you ask yourself, well, how do I get access to the Federal Reserve discount window? I got you, brother. You're going to go to the NCUA.
Please do.
You're going to go to the NCUA, which is the National Credit Union Administration, and you're going to go through here and you're going to fill out a registration to open up your own federal credit union. And there's a two-step process. They'll actually assign someone from the NCUA to help you. You're going to open up literally your own bank. Once your bank is opened, you're going to fill out what's called an OC-10 agreement with the Federal Reserve, which is discount window access. Here's the OC-10 letter of agreement right here. Once you fill out the OC-10, there's a website called the Master Accountant Services Database. Right here, database requests for access. Your information will go on to this page, request for access. You can see all the different banks and federal credit unions that are currently waiting for their access to be approved. You see pending, approved. And then once your access is finally approved, you'll be put into Access existing database, and you can find any institution you want by just simply typing in, for example, I'm in Glendale, California, Glendale Federal Credit Union, Glendale Area Schools Credit Union. Click there, click submit, and it tells you that the Glendale Federal Credit Union has had access to the Federal Reserve discount window since May 14th of 2003. So what does that mean? It means the government can essentially take the bills that you essentially abandon because you're not paying the bills with the bills, and they can take the bills and go and swap them at the Federal Reserve discount window because you essentially didn't claim them.
Okay, so that in
So
turn,
they're making money off this at all times.
So
Are they
they're
doing
so
this?
so they're making money when you give them Federal Reserve notes to pay your bills. They keep the bill itself, and they also keep the Federal Reserve note. So you're really paying your bill twice.
So
And then you're going to ask me, well, if they take the bills to the Federal Reserve discount window and they swap them, don't they then have to pay back the Federal Reserve? The answer is yes, unless they use what's called a qualified endorsement on the face of the instrument. A qualified endorsement is a signature on a negotiable instrument that transfers ownership but limits the financial liability. If the original issuer later dishonors the instrument, for example, it bounces, the subsequent holder cannot force the qualified endorser to pay. The magic phrase is executed by writing the words "without recourse" or a similar phrase alongside the endorser's signature.
if I just write that on shit next to my signature, I'm all good.
To some degree, yes. To some degree. So what we did is we started going out and having a lot of my fans and stuff go out and find copies of their mortgages and get sent copies of their mortgages. And we started finding this terminology on the face of the mortgage. Without recourse, paid to the order of Rocket Mortgage, LLC, a.k.a. Quicken Loans, LLC, by signature Stephen Beavers. I actually found this first. And then I started looking into what these things were. See the pay to the order of Countrywide Home Loans, Inc., without recourse.
Without recourse.
So what are they doing?
Shit.
They're taking your original mortgage notes that you're signing, going to the Federal Reserve discount window without recourse, getting free cash from the discount window and turning around and turning you into a slave, and they never gave you anything of their own. They just swapped the note that you signed.
I thought the whole fucking money system was bad before, but fuck, man. They're even getting money back on top of this, on top of the fact that they can loan out 10 times the amount they actually have on hand.
So the second you sign any promissory note for anything, a car, a house, a building, a yacht, you've automatically paid for the entire thing, and you can just sue them. The whole thing is paid.
See, I've heard that before, and I didn't believe it. But now that you're explaining it in the way you are, and I see all these contracts that say without recourse, and you showed us the definition of what without recourse means, I believe it now. I believe that you could do this if you have the fucking balls to stand up and do it.
Now, the biggest thing you could do, the craziest thing you could do is open up your own federal credit union, create an OC-10, create your own credit card network, and then every single time you use your credit card, it's producing an unconditional promise to pay. You promise to pay every single time you use your credit card. Have that credit card automatically linked to the Federal Reserve discount window so that every single time you use your credit card, it just instantaneously just discharges off of itself. So you literally have a black card through your own bank that has infinite money and it has no limit. And you never need to pay it. That's kind of where I'm going with this. I'm very open about that, by the way. We have multiple teams working on that.
But you can't. But you can't be a Negro slave and do this.
Actually, in fact, to do that specifically, only the Negro slaves are allowed to. You can't.
Okay.
So we do it on behalf of our sole proprietorships. A white citizen of a state can't open up an FCU. A white citizen of a state
I was
can't.
gonna say, so you're kind of
And do you know why that is? No state shall make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debts. White citizens of the state are not allowed to use Federal Reserve notes. That's why the sole proprietorship, they act as though the sole proprietorship is you. And the reason why is because you really can't pay a debt using a Federal Reserve note legally because it violates, it's unconstitutional.
Dude, this is like a world within a world. It's fucking
wild,
insane.
Yeah.
And we just all live in it. And we're just all going along like we fucking were
So
taught.
are you? Is this?
Well, I've been digging. You guys know this, but I've probably got 15,000 hours into this research. So, just to kind of.
So you've blown past excellence because that's 10,000 hours
Well,
to be excellent. In
Yeah,
something.
well, that's why it's like I've given you guys in 2 hours what it probably would have taken 20 years before, 20 or 25
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
2
That's
hours.
what I mean. That's why you have to understand, I'm sure you do, that for most people who are listening, this is overwhelming. Like,
Yeah.
where the fuck, how do I even do this?
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, how did you get to here? I assume you grew up a normal dude and then just fucking one day something happened where you're like, I'm going to fucking go against everything and figure this out.
Oh man, I paid everything. I was paying my own taxes, I would go through all my accounts every year, make sure everything was perfect, go to my accountant. I had my driver's license was renewed months in advance. I don't think I've ever even had a single fucking parking ticket my entire life, literally.
Yep.
The whitest motherfucker to ever walk the earth, right? You could say a slave or a bitch. I mean, but I never thought of it that way. I just thought I was doing the right thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then one day I had a landscaping company and I was getting attacked by what's called the Employment and Development Department, which is the payroll mafia government people. Okay.
Yeah.
And they just showed up on my job site. They started snooping around. They started saying that I had illegal workers working for me and all this kind of horse shit. They sent me a $60,000 bill and I had just taken over the company and it was like not even making a profit hardly at all. I don't think we had any profits for a while. And I just went to some friends of mine who were accountants and lawyers and they said, make a payment plan. And I said, you went to law school and you went to accountant school and you're a CPA and you got certified and you're a part of the bar and there's 3 or 4 people I'm talking to and you all tell me to make a payment plan on this? That's your fucking solution?
Not even a fight, nothing. Just
So I fired all of them and I said, I got to figure something else out. And a friend of mine was this big sovereign citizen guru lady who scared me. And she had been trying to get me to come to her house to show me all this stuff for literally 2 years. And I always told her no. I thought she was kind of super friendly, super cool, but
Right.
super scary stuff. I just didn't, it was just very scary to me, all this stuff, right? And finally, this pushed me over the edge. I was like, all right, fuck, I'm going to have to go and see Nancy. I have to go see Nancy, right? So I went and saw Nancy. I was absolutely terrified. Did a bunch of paperwork, and then I went on Amazon and I bought every single book I could possibly find on the subject, which was maybe about 27 books at the time. Now you throw a rock and you hit this stuff, but this was
Yeah.
back in. I talk about it like it was 67. Back in my day, we only had 25 books on Amazon. This was 2021, but it
Right.
literally feels like a lifetime ago.
a lot
right?
has happened since then.
Yep.
Yes.
So all I could get my hands on was probably 25 books, and the only online information on this subject was 90-year-old angry white men that wanted to burn every government building to the ground, and it was just manifestos of text. That was all you could find.
Right,
That's all
right,
you could
right.
find.
That's awesome.
So I wanted to make a free resource that kind of piecemealed all of this kind of information together into one resource, but it had fun and humor and jokiness to it. And it wasn't just, let's burn all the government buildings by a 90-year-old white guy.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do was I saw all these different groups, like the assembly groups and the groups of sovereign citizens and stuff like that. And they were all, the average age was probably 80 in every single group, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, man, I want to make sovereignty cool for a younger audience. And that was my original purpose. And that was but what happened with the EDD was I pulled all the assets out of the company. I created a foreign trust. I structured it myself, created it myself from scratch. Didn't really know what I was doing. Kind of just fell through it, falling over.
Yeah.
I drove from bank to bank to bank to bank to bank trying to open up a bank account for it. I ended up finding this super hot manager at this one bank, and I just kind of fell in love with her. And she just happened to need to train a new trainee on trust because they had never done a trust before. I literally just kind of fell into the perfect situation.
Yeah.
And she was willing to kind of just overlook all the things that I had fucked up, which was like a million things. And we got the bank account opened. I moved everything from the corporation over. I changed all the titles for all the trucks and everything over to the trust name.
Okay.
I did all that in like a month and a half, something like that. And then I just told the EDD to go fuck themselves. And shockingly, they did. They didn't want to deal with a legal nightmare of a guy who, and I threatened to file liens on them and do all this stuff. But I had no clue. Oh, I'm going to file liens on you. But I had no idea what I was talking about at all whatsoever. But I had successfully bumbled my way through creating a trust and moving all the assets. That I actually did do when I told them I was going to. So I told them two things. I did the trust thing, and then I'm going to go after him and lien him and all this kind of stuff. The second part, I was just bluffing. I had no fucking clue how to do that. But the first part was true. I had moved everything over into a trust, and they just instantly.
They saw that, and they're like, he's going to do the second part.
They just knew, yeah, this guy's going to be a nightmare.
Are you like this with everything in life? Like you're just fucking let it swing, just balls to the wall, fucking. Or is this a niche thing? Like this, you found your footing in, because it just seems like you're like, I muddled my way through this. Like most people would be terrified of that.
Yeah.
They'd be terrified of fucking something up, and you're like, fuck it, let's do it.
No. I was very, very, very scared. I went very slow. I wanted to clear up every single definition of every single word. I looked up every single thing, every single definition, anyone I can get my hands on. I had a mentor at the time who was helping me with some. I mean, I was not. Just there are guys who get into this and they just rush through guns blazing. Typically they burn out pretty fast. They get arrested. Something happens.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's typically what we see, right? And the clips and all that.
But the clips are stupid. Like the people who get pulled over and they get their windows bashed out, they're out of jail same day, next day, every single time, literally.
Yeah.
And all the charges that they're charged with get dropped. It's all just a big show. I'm telling you.
Right.
Like
That's what I was going to ask.
When you really get into all this stuff and you really start to go down the rabbit hole and you really start to look at everything, there really is no risk. The two biggest risks, there's three things that can get you in really big trouble. Number one, leaning judges. I don't know why anyone thought this would be an intelligent idea. But that will get you thrown in jail. You will have the entire local judiciary like trying to like get you. Like you are. That is such. And the worst part about it is they write some convoluted horseshit motion or complaint. The judge is like, this is literally bullshit. It actually is bullshit.
Right. Right,
and then they just fly off the handle, and now they want to kill everyone in the judiciary, and they put up websites, treasonjudge.com, and they lean the. It's like they literally file one document one time. It's a total piece of shit. The judge may not even be an asshole. He just dismisses it because it literally has no legal value.
Right.
And then the guy just goes total Waco.
Yeah.
That every single
Big
person
mistake.
I know that started leaning judges, that was the 1, 2, 3. That's how it went down. One filing, this has no legal basis, full Waco.
When you say leaning, you mean like exposing them, like.
No, leaning is a lien, putting
a lien on.
Putting a lien on.
Like
a
judge. Mechanic's lien. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Oh wow.
I could file a lien on both of you right now for $5 in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
So
enjoy.
So it's one of those things where it's so easy and so cheap and so accessible. But the thing is, it's not something to be played with. Okay.
Got you.
Not many
Noted.
people do that. Not very many people do. It's just the Waco guys that do that.
Right,
Okay?
right.
Those are the guys, and there's only been a handful.
Yeah.
But those guys go down in total horrific, awful, terrible flames. Their whole family is destroyed. Like it's awful. And it's just not even necessary, and it's not even needed, and it's just they didn't even try. They just fucking if you had a 90s Waco dude, now he would just print off 40 pages from ChatGPT, file it in without even reading it, and then he would start leaning judges and he would go full Waco. Like we're talking like you know the kind of person I'm talking about, don't you? I mean,
yeah, we know exactly what you're talking about.
there's a handful of them, and they're pretty much the only kinds of people that would do something like that. So what happens though is the media takes those people and makes them seem
Right.
like that's our
Yeah.
whole movement.
Of it. And these
Okay.
are the guys you're seeing clips
And then-
of.
That is
Yeah.
truly not our movement. Our movement
Right.
is mostly composed of people who are too scared to do a whole lot. That's the honest truth.
Right. Which is your average
90%,
person.
80% of our movement is people who are learning, but they're terrified and they haven't really taken any real serious action yet. That's 80% probably. As we get better and better at talking about it, as more and more people are doing it, that number is very rapidly going lower now. We're probably down into the 60s, 70s now. And like the rate things are going, it's probably going to be down around 50% or lower by probably next year, right?
Very nice.
That's number one, leaning judges.
Number two.
Number two, being just a complete disrespective asshole. Just completely. Telling judges to go fuck themselves, fuck you, screaming at judges, talking over them during judicial procedures.
Yeah.
You can kind of act that way with opposing counsel over the phone and stuff if you want, I suppose. But you really shouldn't need to do that. And you definitely wouldn't do that with the judge.
Right. You want to do
Yeah.
it as smooth as
It's
possible
one
for
thing
them.
to maybe get a little snippy with opposing counsel on the phone during
Right.
a little meet and confer when you're talking about a motion or something like that. That's like kind of normal-ish, I suppose. You know, it is an adversarial activity, but to scream over the judge, a judge can't talk, or let's say opposing counsel's talking because the judge asks him something and you're fucking screaming over him, right?
Yeah.
If they're giving a testimony and you want to object, you can say objection. There's a whole kind of way that works. You guys see that on TV and stuff like that. But when there's just normal hearings and pretrial conversations, you don't just scream over people. It's like childish behavior. Let's just say the whole bin is just childish behavior. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the second thing that can get you in big trouble. Okay? And it has to be pretty gross and it has to be kind of constant to get you in trouble. So it's not like a little bit of childish behavior and you're in big trouble all of a sudden.
Right,
It's like,
right.
Yeah, they
it's
give
like-
you a lot of leeway when you're representing yourself.
It's like, dude, we've told you a million times, we're giving you the chance to talk.
yeah.
Why we give them a chance to we gave you just talk for 10 minutes. He's been talking for 40 seconds and you're already screaming over. It's literally like anyone would find it to be without etiquette. It's just not.
We're losing
Even in
patience.
everyday life.
Yeah, even in
Just-
this is just not a jury's never going to see it your way. Sorry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Definitely don't want an impatient judge or jury and all that. Yeah.
And the third thing is lying under oath.
Yeah.
And that's a tricky one because perjury, they have to prove, this is what people don't understand about perjury. They have to prove that you knew you were lying when you signed it. For example, how many W-9s have you guys signed stating that you're a U.S. citizen or other U.S. person under penalty of perjury?
Many.
Too many to count.
At that time, did you know fully and entirely in your own mind that you were signing a document stating that you were a Negro slave that was enslaved by the American race?
No, I did not. No.
Okay.
No massa? No, I did not.
Okay. So did you commit perjury when you signed those W-9 forms?
No, because
Now
I
here-
didn't knowingly do it.
Now here's the next question. In 2 months, when somebody gives you a
Fuck you,
W-9 form,
motherfucker. I was just going to ask you that. You son of a bitch.
Fuck.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Nicely
I
done.
appreciate it.
Nicely done.
see that?
Yeah.
So it's beautiful because it's like the knowledge itself automatically straightens out everyone's life because now you fucking can't do it anymore, brother. Even if you want to do it, you can't fucking do it. You're like forced into freedom, and like the chains break, even if you're trying not to. It's like, sorry, you know what I mean? Like you're out, you know what I mean? Like because it's literally legally perjury.
Dude. Mind blowing.
Well,
And now we get all the way back to the beginning of the show when I told you if I paid taxes, I would be in prison.
yeah. You son of a bitch.
Fantastic, dude.
Fuck this all up.
Awesome, man.
Dude, thank you so much and for going over even. And it's been too long. I hope
I know.
one day you'll
It's
come back
just-
again. We'll dive into it again. This was fucking great, dude. I had a great time.
Thanks, man.
My mind's blown. I'm going to have to go back through and watch this.
course.
And I don't do that often. When you
Break it
do
down, yeah.
2-3 episodes a week, you don't go back and watch everyone. But I'm definitely going to have to go through each part of this because I feel like this is a key to starting to make change that will actually affect things. If people start waking up to what we actually are and what we can actually do, and instead we're all just going along and shaking our fist at the government. Like, there's ways to go about changing things, and I feel like this is one of them.
And you're making
The
a
government-
huge impact, dude. You
Thank
really
you.
are, like-
The government just accepts whatever you feed them, so there's no reason to fight. Fighting the system is silly. It's like a computer. It's like an ATM machine. It's like you're fighting an ATM machine. Like literally, I'm not even kidding. Like I swear to God. I swear to God. I swear to God. Literally, if you fight the government, you're literally just it's like coming around the corner and seeing like a homeless man without any pants, like on crack, like literally punching an ATM machine. I swear to God.
Like, that's how I see you guys.
I know that sounds crazy, but I'm telling you. You literally tell the government anything, and they just accept literally anything you tell them, bro. I'm telling you. Why? How do you
testing
think?
that
How
out.
do you think? How do you think trans and men or women
was
and
just
how do you
gonna
think all
fucking-
that happened? I'm telling you, that's the truth. The government just accepts anything you fucking tell them. Now think about this.
Fucking true.
Now think about this. Why? Why does the government accept anything you tell them? Why? Because we've been brainwashed to think that the government is supposed to tell us what's real or what's not. But in fact, the government, even to this day, still pretty much operates under the fact that the people run the government.
Yeah.
So we are technically senior to the government. The government's supposed to take everything we say. So technically, if you think about it, they're actually doing exactly what they're supposed to do, which is just be a fucking ATM machine and accept anything they want from the master.
Yeah, a mirror of our retarded society. The more retarded society gets,
So it's literally
More
just a
retarded our
giant,
government
it's all
gets.
just an illusion. Everything's actually just
really
fine.
Is. It really is.
Everything's actually just fine. It's just an illusion. It's just an ATM machine, and it accepts orders from the master. We are the master. It accepts anything we tell it. If we tell it that we're a fucking, if I said I was a female giraffe, they'll accept it.
they'll start something to make Google list that as one of their fucking things when
Seriously.
you can pick your.
Damn,
Jesus, man. All right, well, I'm all fucked up now.
It's like that's what I'm aiming for.
No, dude, you're doing
All
a
right,
great
guys.
job.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us, dude. Play our little outro song. Well, I'll send you all the shit. I know your website's on your Twitter. I'll put it under there, under the episode, and I'll send you when it comes out Monday everywhere for everybody, so you can share it if you want. If you don't, that's fine too.
Could I also get a link for my channel or an original copy from my channel? Would you mind if we do that? Is that possible?
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah.
Tell me where you want it sent, and I will send you right after I download it from our thing tonight. I'll send it off to you.
Perfect, man. Appreciate that. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Thank you.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Peace.